welcoming the support from millions of disaffected Democrats, independents, moderates, old-fashioned liberals who still believe in little things like borders. I was there yesterday. That's a scary place. Sir, it's about time that you get out of the sun, sir. We're going to have to get you out of here, sir. Let's get the hell out of here.
Let's get the hell out of here. Come on, for crying out loud, for the love of Mike. President Trump. Now, since we last convened on Friday, holy smoke, I guess a thing or two has happened, including this whole Robert F. Kennedy Jr. thing. Turns out, I don't know how many of you know Washington, D.C. Very well, but, this whole Camelot thing, it's the myth of the Kennedy family. At whole, it was Camelot while they were all sneaking girls in and out of the back door all day and all night. And the news media helped. They lied. They pretended. They covered up for the Democrat Party. In the early 1960s, the more things change, the more they stay the same. But the reality is Camelot, Camelot, it turns out is just a strip club in Washington, D.C. I think it's a gentleman's club. I'm sure that Hunter Biden had his own table there, might still have his own table there. Yeah, it's a gentleman's club, a gentleman's establishment, a women disrobe, and it's called Camelot on stage, and they play bad music and dance around and things like that. And I'm thinking, in the end, the Kennedy family is self-destructing before our very eyes. They got Carrie Kennedy, the sister of all things of Robert F. Kennedy Jr., the daughter of Robert F. Kennedy Sr. See how that works? That's how it used to work anyway. Now in Democrat families, it's much harder to keep track. But remarkable stuff, because Carrie Kennedy, the sister of RFK Jr., is out there on MSDNC with Jen Psaki, who was the spokesperson for the current administration. Not that he's actually being the president anymore. You see him, he was in the Santa Ynez Valley, the mountains behind Santa Barbara, for a week after the Democratic National Convention. Yesterday, flew back on Air Force One to Dover Air Force Base in Delaware. You remember that's where he usually spends his time checking his watch. I think that's where he checks his watch quite frequently. Speaking of which, today is the 3rd anniversary of the terror attack in Afghanistan at Hamid Karzai International Airport in Kabul, where we shouldn't have been evacuating from anyway. We should have been using the great big, giant, well-protected, easy-to-defend air base there. But never mind that, because Joe Biden and his minions are not up to the task. But Joe Biden came back from California yesterday into Dover Air Force Base, then the helicopter to one of his beach houses, one of his Delaware mansions. Where did he get all these mansions on this government salary of his? That's kind of peculiar. Maybe the New York Times should look into that 8 years ago. But never mind that. They don't do that. They're not in the news business. But now Joe Biden is back. He's in Delaware for another week of vacation. He just got back from a week of vacation. It was so exhausting that he needs another week of vacation, this time in Delaware, because, he's just, it's Joe Biden's endless summer. For Joe, it's endless summer. He's dragging around an aluminum beach chair that looks like it's too heavy for him, even though it's about 6 ounces. Remarkable stuff. We've got a lot of remarkable things going on. Our government is in shambles. Nobody is in the White House running the show. Nobody knows who the White House chief of staff is. Nobody knows who's in charge. Kamala's not in charge. And she doesn't have to answer any questions because, don't you know who she is? She's got the protection of the Democrat Party, which is like the Corleone family, except less legitimate, less honorable, less decent, less truthful than the Corleone family. Remarkable stuff. But RFK Jr., this is gigantic news. On Friday, he said, I'm suspending my campaign and I'm not running for president anymore. I'm going to try to have my name taken off of the ballot in 10 key swing states to help out President Trump. He's saddling up with President Trump, and his own family has turned on him because they're like the Gestapo. And when you betray the party forget about family. Family's less important. And this is what the Kerry Kennedy and the Kennedy family, even his brothers and sisters, not to mention his cousins, they're too busy doing lines of coke and sexually assaulting women in the Palm Beach mansion and overturning cars with campaign workers. They like to call them workers upside down, and then going to brunch while they gurgle. See, maybe she was channeling gurgle. Might have been channeling gurgle. I'm not sure about that. Remarkable stuff. But Joe Biden's endless summer continues California to Delaware. RFK Jr. is now throwing in his lot with President Trump, a member of the Kennedy family, backing a Republican presidential candidate. And not just any, it's not Mitt Romney. And by the way, Mitt Romney is just slightly to the left of John F. Kennedy and Robert F. Kennedy on the political spectrum. And as you know, the current Democrat Party is closer on the political spectrum to Sirhan than they are to Robert F. Kennedy. And they're closer on the political spectrum to Lee Harvey Oswald than they are to John F. Kennedy. They're fair play for Cuba, free Cuba, screw the United States, the Democrat Party is. And they're pro-Palestinian, which is why Sirhan shot Robert F. Kennedy in the head in that hotel in Los Angeles, California, and murdered him because Bobby Kennedy was too pro-Israel. And Sirhan, a Palestinian who's alive and well, living in a California prison, where, by the way, he was paroled last year, but Gavin Newsom hasn't signed the piece of paper to let him walk out of the prison because the parole board, screw the parole board. Don't you know who I am? I'm the governor of the great state of California. So we've got the party of Sirhan, the party of Lee Harvey Oswald, and they're turning on their own, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. It's not, like a Schlossberg or something. It's RFK Jr. And they've turned on him because the party is sacrosanct. Screw family. And sometimes they do. That's not what they stand for. Pretty amazing stuff. And Kerry Kennedy on MSDNC with Jen Psaki talking about their family values. Family values. Somebody call the lawyers because, I think we know what their family values are, but never mind that. And they probably have their own table at Camelot, the Gentlemen's Club, the strip joint in Washington, D.C., because that's the values of the Democrat Party today are not what they used to be. Remarkable stuff. Also, Hezbollah attacking Israel, firing hundreds of missiles into northern Israel. We've got more than 80,000 Israelis just in northern Israel. It's a small country. 80,000 displaced Israeli citizens because Hezbollah out of Lebanon, the party of Allah, Hezbollah, the party of Allah keeps firing rockets, missiles into northern Israel, killing people and terrorizing people because that's their bag. That's what they do. They want to get those 72 raisins. They're looking forward to that little box of sun-kissed raisins when they blow themselves up like Democrats. It's an amazing thing. So they're firing at Israel, and Israel responded by shooting back and going after their missile launch sites. And that means they're the bad guys. See, Israel, the bad guys. Because, for example, the Washington Post, their lead story today, upper right-hand corner, asectional. Some of them are asectional, some of them are metrosectional. Strikes increase Mideast tensions. Israel, Hezbollah, escalate fire. See how Israel is the first one that escalates. Now, one is a genocidal radical Islamic terror group being funded by Iran. Iran, in turn, being funded by Joe Biden and Barack Obama and the Democrats so they can kill my landlord. And amazing stuff. And the story begins, Israel, Hezbollah, escalate fire. No, Hezbollah is a terror group, a genocidal radical Islamic terror group funded by Iran, operating out of Lebanon, that is bent on the destruction of Israel, and they're firing on Israel, displacing 80,000 people, not in the lead of the story here. Both sides signaled desire to avoid all-out war. Well, Israel does, but you can't believe the radical Islamic terrorist jihadis. But in the Washington Post, Israel's the bad guy here because they're being attacked, and they shot back. It's the same way they view the police, by the way. Their sons go out and shoot at the police, and if the police shoot back, then the police are the bad guys. Hezbollah attacks Israel. If Israel shoots back, then Israel is the bad guy because the Democrat Party is not what it used to be. And honestly, your Democrat Party, they're something to see today, aren't they? But in the meantime, if you go to MSDNC, you'll see that Hillary Clinton has a magical charisma. Hillary has and so does Kamala Harris. And she doesn't have to answer any questions. So just sit down over there and shut up. Don't you know who she is? And amazing stuff, amazing stuff. Now, I've got a lot to get to today, as is so very often the case. But the Robert F. Kennedy thing is a big deal. It really, all of that happened after I left this studio on Friday, headed down to Newsmax to start getting ready for Newsmax. But remarkable stuff. The headlines are, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. lambasts DNC-aligned mainstream media. He's talking about censorship and how the media have, in what can only be viewed as an orchestrated way, cut him off from the public airwaves and from access to the public because that's how corrupt they are. How many times do I have to tell you? How many years have I been saying this? The news media, the most corrupt institution in America. Democrat Party, of course, in the sleeping bag with them, a heavily lubricated sleeping bag. So Robert F. Kennedy Jr. lambasts DNC-aligned media, mainstream media, accuses them of engineering Harris's rise and also censorship. And he compares himself to Ross Perot as a third-party candidate. Had some interesting things to say about this. Members of the Kennedy family denounce RFK Jr.'s decision to endorse Trump. The NBC fake news headline. Amazing. The members of the Kennedy family denounce RFK, and then they killed girls. Then they killed a bunch of girls. One with a golf club, one with a car, one with drugs. Hey, no big deal. And then here's the headline that I sent, because I sent the link to Camelot, the strip club, and now Camelot is just a strip club. Camelot Show Bar that's what they call themselves, Show Bar. I'll bet members of the Biden family and guaranteed members of the Kennedy family have been there over the years. No question about that. And here is the ask not : because John F. Kennedy asked not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. Ask not : the Kennedys and the women they destroyed. The Kennedys and the women they destroyed. They destroyed a lot of women, and now it's time to, destroy more. They got some cultural influence, so they can destroy a lot of stuff. Amazing. And the news media, here's the New York Times, very angry, very angry. Trump tries to reframe himself as abortion rights advocate on Truth Social. That's literally the headline in the New York Times over the weekend. They have no idea what he's said about it over the years and over the months. They have no idea because they don't follow the news. It's one of the things that I've also been talking about for so many years. Remarkable stuff. Yeah, and Jen Psaki says Kamala is charismatic. She is just an extraordinary, dynamic, charismatic person. Kamala is just like Hillary Clinton. That's how charismatic she is. Kamala is as charismatic as Hillary Clinton, which is pretty amazing. Ava Braun is also in there as the most charismatic women of the 20th century. That was for Democrats trying to follow along. That was Adolf Hitler's girlfriend, and they allegedly died together in a bunker in Berlin, but never mind that. Yeah, the charisma and the news media, just shameless. It's like North Korea. It should be, like ding, 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 boom. And now the news, because it's completely nuts. Yes, sir. So I went and did a little research on Hillary Clinton's charisma because, Kamala and Hillary, so charismatic. The charisma is too much. It's magical charisma. That's what they said. And it turns out Jen Psaki a while back described Trump as his evil charisma. Not that they just do propaganda or anything like that. We've got border updates. It's back to school day for a whole lot of people. The autistic 16-year-old that the school wants to make transgender and the parents don't, so the state stole the 16-year-old from the parents and are holding him hostage. The news media is in favor of this because they're the party of Jeffrey Epstein and Bill Cosby and Sirhan and Lee Harvey Oswald. They're the Democrat Party. Amazing stuff. Cori Bush in the news and a lot more. 888-630-9625. Ah, yes. All right, we got a little Anthony Fauci update, and this guy, the Russian billionaire tech giant owner of Telegram, arrested in France because free speech is under assault all over Western civilization because of the left. The left is here. They are authoritarian in their orientation. We'll get to that as well. Let's go now to the telephones. Let's go to Rick calling from Elmwood Park, New Jersey. Ricardo, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Chris, thanks for taking my call. I just love Jasmine. I want to ask a big favor. Can I be the first one to tell RFK Jr. that his party lied to him about the global warming scam and that this isn't the hottest decade on record and that temperatures aren't changing faster than ever?
Is he going around saying that in addition to other things that he's... It's party dogma and doctrine. You must adopt the party dogma and doctrine. It's a religious cult. And global warming is their apocalypse, right? It's their secular apocalypse. And only they can save us from us. So that, it's party dogma. You can't deviate from that, though, right?
Yeah, I don't know. But is this the same global warming scam that we had in 1922 when it was in the Washington Post, November 2nd, report on global warming? Or is this a different global warming catastrophe?
This is a different one because, in between in the 1970s, we had the coming ice age, remember?
Yes, Leonard Nimoy informed me about that one.
Yeah, and the armadillos were headed south because the armadillos, it was very scientific. The armadillos knew that the glaciers were coming back, so the armadillos were migrating south. And it was in Time magazine, and everybody had it. And if you weren't smart on that, then you weren't smart. But they get to flip-flop, just like Kamala Harris on everything from fracking to open borders to defunding the police. Democrats get to flip-flop, between lunch and dinner on the most major of topics. So certainly over the course of a century, 1922, more than a century now, they can flip-flop over and over again. And just buy it. Rick, we just spoke to Rick moments ago, reminding us the key to Democrat Party success is that no one remembers anything. Education does not exist. Functional memories are a thing of the past. But it's absolutely true, of course, that you look at 1922, and he gave us the date, November 2nd, 1922, and the headlines about global warming. And then in the 1970s, Howard K. Smith on network television with the coming ice age.
They base this on ever cooler temperature readings in the Great Plains on land and the North Atlantic at sea, and on the headlong retreat of the heat-loving armadillo from Nebraska to the Southwest and to Mexico.
Heat-loving, they're the heat-loving armadillo, and the armadillo is headed south because they love heat, and it's getting too cold up north because of the coming ice age, and the glaciers are coming back. And we were all supposed to be terrified, and that was just a short time after we were supposed to be terrified of the coming heat that was going to kill us all. And now we're back to being terrified of the heat again. It's like a cult. Excuse me, let me correct myself. It's a cult. It's not like a cult. It is a cult. It has virtually all of the characteristics and attributes of any ordinary run-of-the-mill cult, almost all of which are left-wing, by the way. All of these cults. Let's use Jonestown as an example in Guyana and South America, where more than 900 lined up and took the Kool-Aid. They drank the Kool-Aid. That's, of course, where, and sad for the Kool-Aid Corporation, but it wasn't even Kool-Aid brand Kool-Aid. It was store brand Kool-Aid, and still Kool-Aid got stuck with the label. Sort of a bummer for the Kool-Aid Corporation, whoever makes that. Remarkable stuff. But they were building a socialist paradise in South America because Oakland and San Francisco became less hospitable. So they moved to Guyana. And Jim Jones, Jonestown, he was a cult leader. They said a religious leader, but it was all about the religion of socialism. And then they all committed suicide together. I think the largest mass suicide, and even though it was in Guyana, of Americans in American history, I'm sure the largest mass suicide in the history of Guyana, maybe, going back to prehistoric times, there might have been something like that. But remarkable things. Your Democrat Party, they are really something. Really something. Yes, they are.
There's a theory advanced by climatologists that the last 2 years of battering by winter means that an ice age is returning to the Earth, with glaciers down to the Mason-Dixon line and freezing temperatures south of that.
Glaciers down to the Mason-Dixon line. The Democrats love the Mason-Dixon line, don't they? They want to bring it back. They're the ones. They were the Confederate States of America in the Civil War. The Democrat Party was, because they love the bullwhip. They still do, too. They got that Robert Mapplethorpe guy. They love the bullwhip. When I say they love the bullwhip, what I mean is, hey, this is a family show. We'll leave it at that. Isn't that remarkable? So many great stories going on. And we have President Trump. We have Robert F. Kennedy Jr. We have all kinds of things. I was also noticing today that there are headlines today that the U.S. elections, you see, that this is key to the Democrat victory in November. The headline in Politico today, the Latino vote. It's always race and ethnicity, racial division, balkanization with the left, the party of the bullwhip and the lynching tree. The Latino vote could decide the election, period. Kamala Harris knows it. Kamala Harris knows it. That I'm happy to hear that. Who told her? Hey, Politico, who told her that? The pretty amazing stuff. By the turn of the year, it was getting harder and harder to deny the Biden campaign had a Latino problem. Maybe if you guys weren't such racists and didn't. Now, what are you going to give Latino voters that you're not going to give Anglo-European voters or African-American voters? What exactly is that? You gang of pimps, you street pimps, you. But there it is, the Latino vote could decide the election. So you can expect more racial polarization, ethnic polarization, and division from the Democrat Party, because now they've got to dial up the pander factor with the Latino vote. But that's not all, because also another headline today, U.S. elections, they do love their colons. Can Kamala Harris win back Michigan's crucial Muslim vote? The jihad vote is theirs, I think. They've got the jihad. If they don't have the jihad vote buttoned up at this point, then there's something wrong with the jihad vote. Something wrong with the jihad vote. That's pretty amazing. Also, with Hezbollah attacking Israel in the north, firing hundreds of rockets at Israel, hoping to kill civilians in school and get the children, and because they're murderers. See, they're blood-drenched troglodytes from hell. They're murderers. And here's the thing. The Democrats now, because of their love affair and their romance with Hamas, which they put under the umbrella of the Palestinian people, Hamas elected by the Palestinian people in their two-state solution, the Gaza, more than twice the size of Washington, D.C., 25 miles of beachfront property, 25 miles plus, and they turn it into a beep hole where everybody murders each other and kidnaps and rapes, and because that's their culture, and not all cultures are created equal. Just by the way, Democrats are a little confused. Scratch that. Democrats are very, very confused when it comes to pretty much everything from gender and science to history to what's going on today, and they don't follow the news. Remarkable stuff. But now the Democrats, because they've thrown in their lot with Hamas and the so-called Palestinian people, now they've got to support Hezbollah, right? I mean, they can't be intellectually inconsistent and not support Hezbollah. They have to support Hezbollah too. It's just another Iran-backed radical Islamic genocidal death cult army waging war against civilization itself. And the Democrat Party, they have gotten into bed with and saddled up with, that's right, they brought their horses to bed. It's midnight at the Oasis, and they've got to be on the side of Hezbollah because it would be irrational, intellectually inconsistent, to say the least, morally inconsistent, to not also be pro-Hezbollah. You've got to be pro-Hezbollah if you're pro-Hamas, because, you know, the big guy behind the curtain is Iran, the Ayatollahs in Iran. So the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps has the backing of the Democrat Party. Remember, they were furious when President Trump had General Qasem Soleimani of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, had him taken out in a strike, and the Democrats were furious because they're effectively jihadis. They're waging what is effectively a jihad against Western civilization. So the Democrats have to get into bed or be in bed with Hezbollah out of Lebanon for the same reasons that they're in bed with Hamas in the Gaza. I like to call it the Gaza instead of just Gaza, because that's me. And they are the party of Sirhan and Lee Harvey Oswald, after all. Remarkable times we are in. Meanwhile, Joe Biden, he's on vacation again. It's the endless summer. You'd think that he was a surf maniac, but remarkable stuff. And our news media, the filthiest, dirtiest, most corrupt institution in America. Speaking of which, there's kind of a remarkable story out today about Megyn Kelly. You remember Megyn Kelly from the Fox News channel. And I got to say, my best girl, she listens to Megyn Kelly. Megyn Kelly has a podcast, and there's video and all that stuff. And the July numbers, Megyn Kelly's YouTube channel, she has a YouTube channel, had more views than NBC News and CBS News combined. What? How can that be? She's the most powerful voice in journalism, Douglas Brunt posted on X. And I always liked Megyn Kelly. I used to do Megyn Kelly's show on the Fox News channel. Michael Piercy and I used to go down there together and to the Fox News headquarters on Capitol Hill, just off of Capitol Hill, and do live shots with Megyn Kelly on her afternoon show. And then I did her evening show a number of times as well. But this is a pretty remarkable development, I've got to say, inside Megyn Kelly's YouTube success. And that is, first of all, she's wonderful. She's great. And she wants to tell the truth. And the American people are starved for truth, which is why my humble radio broadcast is the most popular, dominant radio broadcast in the history of the galaxy, because we speak the truth here, as do other great radio programs on this radio station, whichever station you're listening on. I know if my show is on your station, then your station is a good station. That's how you can tell. But the news is out now, and Semaphore has a good story on Megyn Kelly, inside Megyn Kelly's YouTube success by Max Tanney. And when then-host Megyn Kelly was pushed out of NBC News in 2019, many television network insiders thought her broadcast career was likely over. I did not think that. But I know a lot of stuff that these people don't know. They're not very smart people, and they're dishonest people and unserious people. And they don't follow the news, and they don't know what's going on. Now Kelly is nearly as popular as ever. According to audience figures highlighted by Kelly's team for Semaphore, Kelly's show is now not only one of the most listened to programs on Sirius XM, also one of the top 10 podcasts in the country. And its viewership is eclipsing that of some mainstream news outlets on YouTube. Kelly boasts that despite the fact that she's only has 6 staffers she only has 6 staffers. Well, here we have, it's me and Michael Piercy, and Jasmine is here. Jasmine is here today, and that's good. And Michael is over there. He's in charge of keeping the station on the air. But that's it. Only I dream of the day when we have 6 staffers. That would be, and then we could say we only have 6 staffers, because there it is. She's managed to get numbers that put her in the range of the accounts of legacy media outlets, the Megyn Kelly Show's YouTube channel, which has 2.3 million subscribers, had 116.8 million views in July. More views than the official channels for NBC News with 78 million, CBS News 83 million, Sky News 87 million, BBC 72 million, CNBC 17 million. And that's because people don't want to be lied to anymore. Well, Hillary does, by her husband and by, and Jill Biden does. And, Joe Biden wants to be lied to, but, they got that whole Secret Service thing going on. But we'll leave that for another day. But good for Megyn Kelly. I think she's great. And we need more Megyn Kelly and less like Keith Olbermann is on here on Twitter taking shots at her. That's his guy. He is very severely mentally impaired. And that's why he did so well on MSNBC for all those years. And they paid him millions and millions of dollars. All right, let's go to some RFK Jr. because this is, I got to say, it happened on, again, Friday after we left the studio on Friday, all the RFK stuff. A lot of it was happening while I was at Newsmax in the afternoon, getting ready for the Right Squad, 10 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday. Great stuff. Now let's go to, because RFK was in Phoenix, and he had an event where he was by himself, and he talked a lot of stuff about the Democrat Party and told the truth. Let's go to RFK, and then he did get together with President Trump later in the day. RFK Jr. before getting together with President Trump in Phoenix, Arizona on Friday.
When a U.S. president colludes with or outright coerces media companies to censor political speech, it's an attack on our most sacred right of free expression. And that's the very right upon which all of our other constitutional rights rest. President Biden mocked Vladimir Putin's 88% landslide in the Russian elections, observing that Putin and his party controlled the Russian press and that Putin prevented serious opponents from appearing on the ballot. But here in America, the DNC also prevented opponents from appearing on the ballot. And our television networks expose themselves as Democratic Party organs.
How dare you expose them as Democratic Party organs? That's he's sick and tired of being lied to also. And I'm not going to agree with RFK on everything, and I don't care. I don't think I know anybody on which I agree with him on absolutely everything. But this is a good start. And if the Kennedy family, if this whole, phony baloney myth, the Camelot thing, which is nothing but a strip joint in Washington, D.C. Remarkable stuff. And he's standing up for free speech. In fact, there's a remarkable story out of France about a social media titan has a social media platform. Who doesn't, really? Pavel Durov, a Russian billionaire, young guy. He was arrested in France because his Telegram app, they say, has allowed the spread of misinformation and disinformation. So they should arrest John Brennan, the former CIA director and Communist Party voter. They should arrest him when he goes to France for spreading disinformation about the 2020 election. I'll buy him a ticket to France if France will arrest John Brennan. Pavel Durov detained in France. And Robert F. Kennedy Jr. on X saying, France just arrested Pavel Durov, founder and CEO of the encrypted, uncensored Telegram platform. The need to protect free speech has never been more urgent. And Elon Musk on X, # free Pavel. Yeah, free speech is under assault by the left here and in France, and the left is coming for your rights. Let's grab a phone call, Michael. Let's go to Matt, calling from St. Louis, Missouri. Matt, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, Chris. Unhappy Afghanistan Surrender Anniversary Day in Incompetentopia. And something occurred to me over the weekend. One of the rare few times Kakula has talked to the press since her coronation with roaring aircraft engines in the background was when they asked her about Trump's proposal for 3 debates. She basically ignored the new ones, didn't agree at all or even acknowledge the Fox News September 4th one or the third one later. She said, I look forward to debating Trump on September 10th, and let's see if he's going to show up or not. Meanwhile, I was reminded over the weekend that corrupt Judge Merchan's supposed to sentence Trump during September. I think she may be in on a plan whereby later than September 4th, since it's only 2 days after Labor Day, but sooner than or on September 10th, Merchan's going to sentence him to prison, keep him from going to the debate. They'll play that up to the hilt. She gets to tiptoe out of having to try to look competent and coherent on a debate stage. And to go further, he may give him 60 days to take him out all the way past Election Day, or maybe even 120 days with the, contrived premise that, he needs to still be in prison on January 6th, so that he can't lead another erection, as Chuck Schumer would say. If Kamala wins, I'm making quotation marks with my fingers. So I think she may have inadvertently tipped their hand with her comment, on this plan that they've got cooked up.
Matt, it sounds like you have lost faith, trust, and confidence in our federal government organs, and in that you are most certainly not alone.